Welcome back to another episode of me sitting in my basement talking to my phone, trying to answer your questions because you people are amazing, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you like this because I'm long-winded. Anywho, let's get into it. Rachel, how can I get on your perspective? If I knew there were 7.5 hours of meetings ahead of me, it would cripple me. All right, so here's something that's going to seem really stark, but hopefully this helps. And I'm being dead serious. Just read the news. I do not have to run from order today. I could go on, but that should probably be enough, right? I would like to think that if things got awful for some reason, that I would have the fortitude to be able to understand what I needed to do in really awful situations. Natural disasters, war, God knows what. If I can't handle 7.5 hours of meetings in a temperature-controlled office, I should pack my shit and get out. That's just the way that I look at it. That is not for everybody to see that type of extreme on a consistent basis. But I read the news, or I see somebody picking cans out of a garbage can, or I see somebody homeless on the subway, and I'm good. I'm good. I hope that helps. And I also hope it wasn't too stark. I don't judge anybody that can't see things like that, but for me, I feel like if I don't see the world that way, then I'm being too myopic. And I want to be able to have an understanding big picture so that I can be really present in anything else that's not nearly as stressful as some of those examples that I just gave. By the way, if there's any background noise, my daughter's upstairs talking to my dad on FaceTime, so apologies, but this is real life, right? I'm jamming this in between afternoon activities, and my dinner might show up and the doorbell might ring, so I'm taking my Sunday afternoon because I want to talk to y'all. All right, question number 2, do I have any advice for graduating college senior joining the workforce? Take whatever opportunity you can get your hands on and run with it. Don't care about the company name. Don't care about the exact position. Your first job is not going to define you. Your second job is not going to define you. Your third job is not going to define you. Take opportunity and run with it, and you'll do amazing things. If you can look at it in those simple of terms, you'll be fine. The other thing I would say is, if you can focus on making the people around you better, regardless of what your job is or what you're doing, focus on doing things that will help the people around you be better. That means you'll be doing your job well, and it means you'll be selfless in what you are doing. And I guess the third thing I'll add in there is self-awareness. If you can practice self-awareness on a consistent basis and do those other things that I mentioned, you're gonna crush it. All right, Kenyon, do you think you could live anywhere other than New York? Seems like it's a part of you and you're a part of it. So thank you, super kind of you to say that, because I do love this place. That is a hoverboard going over my head. Like I said, real world. I'm sitting in my basement talking to you. Hopefully it's not super distracting. All right, do I think I could live anywhere other than New York? Seems like it's a part of you. Yes, absolutely. I've been comfortable in Port Hope, Ontario. I have been comfortable in Kingston, Ontario. I lived as a kid in Jacksonville, Florida for a couple of years. I don't remember it super well, but what I remember, I'm good anywhere. I think because of some of the challenges that I've seen work-wise, and when I've had to have conversations with my wife about what if we had to sell our house and move, I'd be super comfortable in Beaverton, Oregon, where her parents are. I'd be fine anywhere. As long as I got my family, I'm good. Would it be dope if I got a job opportunity in like Copenhagen or Stockholm or Berlin or Amsterdam? Yeah, but so I'm good for now though. Yes, kiddo. Yes. Do you need help getting them? Michael Fuentes. What did I do at ESPN? I worked in their marketing and sales department. I basically helped lead the charge on integrated marketing solutions for basically the sponsored stuff that you see in game or in studio shows. Starting lineups brought to you by, halftime show presented by, IBM Sunday NFL Countdown, those types of things. I worked on just about everything except for most college properties, so NFL, NBA, NASCAR, IRL, golf. I'm sure I'm missing some that I can't think of off the top of my head. Did I say NASCAR already? Spent a lot of time in the garages. I would work with brands and our sales teams to come up with things that would make sense within our content. You can't just sell anything. You can't just have like product show up on the set. It has to be organic and endemic, as they say, or at least feel like it's part of the content in as natural way as humanly possible. So how can you figure out solutions for brands in something like SportsCenter? How can you figure out a way to talk about a new tagline in a way that's not going to sound super cheesy? That was the objective. Because I came from a live sports production background, I was able to have almost like a diplomacy type of role where I could work really well with the sales teams to come up with ideas, but then the production team trusted me as well because they knew that I was from their side, so to speak. Brazen cocktails. In the past, you wanted to throw people off. What feeling do you now want them to have when they walk into your office? I want people to be comfortable first and foremost when they walk into my office. I want them to feel a positive energy. I want them to feel like there is going to be a positive outcome for whatever brought them into my office in the first place. Positivity, I would like for them to be curious. That would be pretty cool, but no expectations other than, can I make them feel welcome? Can I make them feel like I have time for them? Like, that's super critical. That's my dinner. Just to close the loop on that, what do I want them to feel when they walk into my office? When they walk out of my office, I want them to be pleasantly surprised, regardless of what their expectations would have been walking in. I want them to be pleasantly surprised, and I want them to feel like it was helpful and a good use of their time. All right, F Floss. I love these videos and became a dad last year. What's it like being a dad and the type of job you have? It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing because it is so friggin' grounding. I think if you look at it the right way, one of my main objectives, especially when Evelyn was younger, was to make sure that she started the day with the right positive energy. I feel like I've said that a couple times this Q&A session. What I mean by that is, who gives a shit how stressed out I am? Doesn't matter, totally irrelevant. Doesn't matter that she's an infant, doesn't matter that she's a toddler. If I can create the right environment so that she feels good, I literally would feel, because I used to drop her off at daycare on certain days, I would literally feel this need to have us kind of vibe off of each other, for lack of a better description. And I'm talking when she was like 8 months old. Because I felt like if I did that and she had a good general sense of pleasantries, if she just had a good constitution, so to speak, then she would have a good day at daycare. And she would be a pleasant baby, even at that age. And then that would mean when my wife would pick her up that she would be in a good mood. That would mean that when I got home, everything would be in a good mood. So I used it as a really grounding way to keep myself understanding of, again, kind of like big world stuff, so to speak. So it's hard, it's super hard, but I think if you can use it as a way to practice patience and know that you are consistently teaching your son, your daughter, tiny little things all of the time based off of your temperament, how you say yes and thank you and please and all of those types of little things that add up, it can be an amazing experience and it can be good for your soul too. What made me want to start TikTok? Not being on Instagram anymore, basically. Once it started to get to a place where so many people were on Instagram that I felt like I was getting judged if I did things that were just literally me trying to make content, and it got lame. I was doing these weird protein bar reviews. They weren't even that weird. I was just sitting in my office talking to the camera for like 60 seconds, and then I just had fun with how I was editing it in iMovie. Then when filters started to come out on stories, I felt like people were like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm okay. It's a filter, and yes, I'm allowed to still be a little weird. Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about TikTok a lot in late 2019. I got in around that time, so relatively early, but older dude jumping on TikTok back then, and I was not posting with good frequency. I was just kind of exploring, and yeah, it obviously started to snowball at some point. It's been a slow drip. Never, ever fathomed it would get to where it is now. I just wanted creative freedom. Sounds weird to say it that way, but that's basically what I wanted. I wanted a place where I wasn't going to be judged. I wanted a place where nobody knew who I was, and that was TikTok. Has having tattoos ever proved a challenge in the corporate world? So, kind of. I mean, I was super conscientious about never having anything short sleeves on for a long time. But I also didn't get most of my tattoos until I was like in my early 30s, mid 30s is when I got most of them. It's almost like perpetuating the rebellion that I was feeling about being in corporate America. It also fueled me to work so hard that it didn't matter. Like, I definitely kept them quiet, so to speak. Always had button, you've probably seen me in a suit most days when I'm posting stuff. So I worked around it, so to speak, but I also used it as I will never let anybody judge me because of that. My work will always be so good that it doesn't matter if they ever see a peek, and And I kind of like the fact that sometimes people, I'd put my arm up a little bit and like something would poke out and I could see people look over and be like, what? And I remember this one time, this amazing person, her name is Rochelle. We were at an offsite together and I was finally starting to feel comfortable enough. And this was like a really small offsite, so there weren't that many people there. And I didn't even realize I was sitting there in this meeting and I had my sleeves like kind of pulled up because I was wearing a sweater. And we walked out of the meeting and she turned to me and she was like, what is going on there? And I was like, oh yeah. And at this point, it wasn't like a brand new tattoo, right? These things have been on me for years at this point. And I like kind of paused and she was like, it's so nice to finally meet you. And it was like a really nice moment because I felt fully accepted, so to speak. She kind of almost felt bad, like I had been keeping myself, at least a big part of myself, hidden. So challenge, I wouldn't call it a challenge, I would just call it a variable. Okay, we got 2 more in the home stretch. Is there always a what's next in life or living in the moment? How do you balance between the two? Make the most of the moment and don't care or have big expectations about what happens next, but dream about what could happen next. And then it's super fun that way. I'm always incredibly present. I try to be incredibly present. I don't know what's going to happen next for me in my career. I really do not. And I'm totally cool with that. Why? Because I've got so much on my plate right now that's plenty to keep me preoccupied. Who knows? Good things have happened by that general premise that I've lived by, which is make the most of what you have in front of you. There's not a what's next. What's next is finishing up this video and doing it in a good way and making sure that it gets to my man Owen in a timely fashion, and then eating my dinner and then prepping for tomorrow and making sure that my daughter ate her broccoli while I was sitting down here, because I'm sure that talking to my dad probably didn't help that. So it's both. The present without major expectations and just kind of like a vision, I think is a good combo. Went down a career path. V says, I went down a career path I didn't love. Do you have any advice on how to pivot your career path? Yes. So think about the business problems that you solve at a macro level. For me, when I pivoted from live sports production into marketing, I basically made the argument that even though I had no formal marketing background, I'd done like some guerrilla marketing for a not-for-profit agency, but nothing for like global brands like ESPN was looking for, but I could talk to production. So I saw that they had a business problem of getting sales and production on the same page. And I said, hey, because I come from the production world, I can be that gap. I can be that diplomat. You teach me the marketing and I can help bridge between sales and production in a really smart way. So think about what you do at the highest level, right? Are you a people leader? Are you in customer service? Do you work in finance? I think people, they'll be like, okay, finance, and then there's like a really specific ladder that you need to climb within finance or the finance world. But if you think broadly about what finance does, it doesn't mean that you just have to go to another finance company. I think that people forget that marketing companies have finance departments and finance companies have marketing departments. So hopefully that makes sense, in that if you just think really big about what you do and the business problems that you solve, that starts to create a Venn diagram with where you may want to go. And then you figure out what that gap is and how your specific skill set and your specific narrative as an employee, individual, and person can help bridge that gap. And then you can make a plausible case to make a jump. Hope that helped. Yo, how fun is it to hang out with you in my basement? I really appreciate you taking the time to be down here. I think I'm supposed to say things like and subscribe, but that just feels super weird, but I said them anyway. So there you go. Thank you. I really appreciate you.